They're getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
There are some puzzling new developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie.
Because there's been a development in the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie.
It was not the amount they asked for that shifted the investigation. It was not even the content of what they wrote. It was the decision about where to send it. On a morning that investigators would later identify as a turning point in this case, two separate communications appeared. They did not reach law enforcement. They did not come through any official channel. They went to a media outlet. And that single choice forced investigators to reconsider something they had been quietly working through for days. Because people who are trying to negotiate a transaction do not usually seek an audience. And people who are genuinely trying to stay concealed do not voluntarily create exposure. So the question the case had been built around shifted. Not what do they want, but why does it need to be public? To understand why that question changed everything, you have to start from what is confirmed. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. She lived alone in a residential neighborhood in Tucson, Arizona. Her life followed a steady rhythm, the kind that builds naturally over decades. Regular contact with family, church services, often virtual, a home that was organized, a schedule that held. Nothing about her daily pattern suggested she was at risk. On the evening before she disappeared, she had dinner with family. She was driven home afterward. She walked inside. The door closed. That moment is the last one anyone close to her can account for with certainty. The following morning, she missed a scheduled call. That was enough to raise concern. When family arrived to check on her, nothing appeared broken. Nothing appeared disturbed. But her phone was still inside. Her medication had not been touched. The personal items an 84-year-old woman does not leave behind were exactly where she left them. Someone who leaves on their own terms takes what they need. Nancy Guthrie did not. Law enforcement arrived, and the situation moved from welfare check to active investigation within hours. Sheriff Nanos stated from the beginning that this was not being handled as a routine missing person case. Certain indicators were present. Some of those indicators have never been publicly disclosed. But one detail was confirmed early. Evidence inside the home suggested Nancy did not leave on her own. That changed how investigators approached everything that followed. Because once you establish that an event was not voluntary, every second of the surrounding timeline becomes load-bearing. Investigators began rebuilding the night from the ground up. Two timestamps emerged as the anchors of the entire case. 1:47 in the morning, 2:28 in the morning. At 1:47, Nancy's doorbell camera stopped recording. On its own, that could be explained away, but what followed could not. At 2:28, her pacemaker stopped transmitting data to her phone. Not the device itself, the connection. And that distinction is critical because a pacemaker communicates wirelessly with a nearby phone. When that signal breaks, it does not mean the heart stopped. It means distance. The phone stayed. Nancy did not. Investigators now had something rare this early in a case. A defined window. 41 minutes. From 1:47 to 2:28, someone was inside that house. That is not a rushed entry. That is not panic. 41 minutes is deliberate. It is enough time to act with a plan. While that window was being examined, a parallel layer of the investigation was building. Digital analysis. Because in 2026, physical evidence is only half the picture. Every device that exists in a space creates a record of its presence, even when no one is actively using it. Cell tower logs, signal patterns, device proximity, all of it leaves a structure behind. Sheriff Nanos made a statement early in the investigation that drew less attention than it deserved. He said that cell data had helped flag things. Not might help, not could help, had helped. Past tense. That means something had already been identified. Something in the data did not fit the expected pattern. And when something does not fit, it becomes the focus. Around the same time, a man named Derek Kella was arrested. Not as a suspect in Nancy's disappearance, but for sending messages while impersonating the abductor. He had demanded money. He had made a phone call. Investigators traced the device, the account, and the location within days and had him identified and in custody quickly. That speed was not incidental. It confirmed something important about the pace of this investigation. The response time was not slow. It was active, which means any genuine signal in this case was not going to go unnoticed for long. That reality creates pressure, and pressure always changes behavior. While the false lead was being resolved, communications from a different source continued. The tone shifted between messages. One suggested Nancy was alive. Another implied she was not. The ransom demand moved as well. Initial figures had been in the millions, then tens of thousands, then the equivalent of roughly $35,000 in cryptocurrency. A demand structure that collapses that dramatically does not reflect negotiation. It reflects instability. And instability in the person making demands raises the most important investigative question in any situation like this. Is the person sending these messages actually in control of what they are describing? Because if they are not, the messages are not instructions. They are interference. And interference, however loud, pulls attention away from the real evidence. Investigators do not weight all leads equally. They weight them by structure. And structure is what was guiding this case. Access was the thread that kept returning. There was no forced entry. That had been established from the beginning and never changed. Which means whoever entered Nancy's home that night did not break through. They came in without resistance. That single fact removes an entire category of possibilities. Random intrusion leaves damage. This left none, which means the entry required familiarity. Familiarity with the environment. Familiarity with how to move through it without triggering alarm. Familiarity is not something that can be guessed. It is built through history, through repeated presence, through knowing a space the way someone knows it only after spending time inside it. Investigators began mapping not just the night of February 1st, but the days and weeks before it. Because if an event is planned, it leaves preparation behind. And preparation creates repetition. Repeated routes, repeated signals, repeated presence in locations that do not match ordinary behavior. That is precisely what the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey team is designed to find. Not where a device was on a single night, where it should not have been over time. The DNA recovered from inside Nancy's home returned no match in the national database of over 19 million profiles. The person who left that material had never moved through the criminal justice system in a way that generated a biological record. They had no prior violent felony. On paper, they look ordinary. They exist in a community. They have people around them who know them. Investigators then moved to genetic genealogy, the same method that identified the Golden State Killer after decades of failure through conventional means. It does not require a prior record. It locates relatives. It maps family trees backward toward a single source. That process was running. Alongside it, financial analysis, because items used in a planned event are acquired before it. Acquisition creates records. Purchases, transactions, timing. When those records align with the timeline and with digital movement data, the structure strengthens. And that is exactly what was beginning to happen. By this stage, the investigation had moved from exploration to convergence. Multiple independent lines of evidence pointing in the same direction. Not publicly, not in press briefings, but internally, the number of viable explanations was shrinking. When that happens, the pace of an investigation changes. It becomes slower and more deliberate. Not from uncertainty, but from precision. Because once an arrest is made, everything must hold under scrutiny. Every detail must support every other detail in a structure that cannot be dismantled in court. Cases appear quiet just before they break because the work has shifted from finding direction to confirming it. And confirmation does not move fast. It moves carefully. Nancy Guthrie has not been found. That remains the central fact. But what has changed is everything surrounding it. The investigation is no longer searching without direction. The timeline is fixed. The digital layer has produced signals. The access analysis has narrowed the field. The genealogy is running. And somewhere in the gap between what happened that night and what can be proven, that gap is closing. Quietly, steadily, closer than it was before. If you have any information, no matter how small it seems, call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go to tips.fbi.gov. A reward of $1 million is available. You can remain anonymous. You do not need the full picture. Investigators build the picture. You only need to offer the piece you have. Because in cases like this, one piece is sometimes the one that completes everything else.